What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a look at Superfuse, the upcoming comic book inspired ARPG from Stitch Heads Entertainment. The game recently had an open sign up for a closed playtest that they were holding, which I signed up for, got invited, etc., which is how I'm bringing you this video, as the game itself launches into early access at the end of January. And as I mentioned, it's an ARPG, so if you're familiar with Diablo or other ARPGs like Path of Exile, you kinda get the gist of the gameplay here, though they have a few things that make this particular game unique, namely the aesthetic as well as the skill system. So in Superfuse, you play as an enforcer, which is effectively a superhero, and enforcers are sent in to deal with extreme problems, in this particular case, a virus that is mutating everyone into abominations. And as such, the game comes with a lot of stylized blood and guts, with a story that promises unraveling a conspiracy that threatens all of humanity, which is about all the info I have to go on as it stands. But at the end of the day, ARPGs all tend to have a very similar gameplay loop, so I want to focus on the thing that makes Superfuse actually unique in this regard, and that is its fusion skill system. As you defeat enemies and level up, you'll be putting skill points towards various skills and passives, but the skills in particular can be augmented afterwards via the fusion system. One of the pieces of loot you can find in the game are fuses, which seem to be implied to be some sort of DNA strain that allows you to modify appropriate skills. These modifiers can drastically change the way a skill functions, duplicating it, casting it in two different directions, both behind and in front of you, for instance, changing things like length, duration, crit strike. There seems to be a ton of options. I don't really have all of them by any means, but each individual skill is highly customizable this way, and as you level up more and more, you can apply more of these buffs to your skills. Though in some cases there is a trade-off like higher mana costs, that kind of thing. And for the most part, what they've shown here looks pretty promising. I had a lot of fun playing this, and it's an interesting idea for a skill system, as you can, again, pretty drastically change the way some of these work, and for the most part, the limitations on which fuses you could use on which skill seemed relatively minor, such as some things only being able to be put onto a projectile, and others just having to be on something that actually deals damage. But one thing I would say about this particular system is that, as it stands, it doesn't really incentivize you to use a bunch of skills, but rather augment and vary up the usage of one skill in particular, because of the cap on your skills as a whole, so that cap is across all of your skills, not individually. Meaning that I found in my playtime it was usually better to just completely augment and fuse up one skill and make it ridiculously powerful, rather than apply a few different fuses to various abilities. And I'm curious if this wouldn't work a little bit better if it was rather a cap on each skill individually, allowing you to experiment a little more. But it's still early, so that might change. Now, in terms of various classes that will be using these skills, in the playtest that I had access to, there were only two available, a mage and a more melee-oriented class, but both were pretty fun to mess around with. Beyond that, though, the game has a lot of quality of life features that you usually expect from these types of games, such as a transmog system, teleport systems. There will be a multiplayer, which was the main focus of their test as well. However, there is also going to be a single player function. But overall, and not to ramble on for too long, I enjoyed what I saw of this. This game has a lot of promise, which is why I'm covering it. And the main question I came away with is what the end game, if there is one, will look like, given that this is a relatively indie title, and the fact that they're working on multiplayer for it makes me wonder if they have some end game in mind and what that might be. But currently I don't have anything to say on that, and it is my main question about what's to come for this title. But the gameplay's fun, the combat's fun, I love the way it looks, I enjoyed messing around with the skill systems, and this is a game I'll be keeping an eye on personally, and you just might see more about it in the future from me, because while I don't think this game is likely to change anybody's mind about ARPGs, as in a lot of ways it's a pretty standard one, if you like them, however, I think this was really fun and might be worth a look. So with all of that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz, but regardless of any of that, truly, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.